Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm Alex Gizis.
I'm Will.
This is Will. And we're some of the people who make Speedify. I feel like we should scoot over. Both
We're
should be closer to center. No? Do you think we're fine? We'll be fine. This is how it is. It's an artistic decision. Anyway. So, what is Office Hours? It is your chance to ask us questions about Speedify, and we are here for you. We see the comments. So, we see you tuning in from Australia. Nice. Darwin, Perth. Wow, the Australian contingent is out. All right, that says, have you guys tried installing the router Speedify yet? Any success? So we got a bunch of news. So last week at the National Association of Broadcasters in New York at Jacob Javits, along with Miri launched their new router, Miri, powered by Speedify. This is the X510. It is a router aimed at video professionals. So, bunch of neat things. It uses the same batteries as the high-end Sony cameras. They are hot swappable, right? You can see on the touch screen. It's running on batteries right now on Verizon. It's got 2 SIM cards in there. It's got a 5G modem, which of course can do 5G or 4G. It's got a 4G. It's got 2 WANs, 2 LANs. You can plug devices into the USB. Basically $2,000 for the device with 15 months of service. It's really nice. It's high end. It's rugged. There's aluminum. You can rack mount it. It comes with the tabs to put this in a 1U slot.
Are we doing Speedify over Speedify right now?
We are doing Speedify over Speedify right now. So this is Speedify running on this Mac. So we're live streaming from an M1 Mac. So I've got Ethernet off the Mac running to a Comcast cable modem. The Wi-Fi in the Mac is connected to the Wi-Fi off this router that I'm waving around in my hands, which is speedifying over its Verizon modem. So that's super cool, right? Right now, you notice that I've got a ticket for this. The ISP is actually showing up as the carrier we're using to host the speed server. We'll get that fixed so it'll show up as just Speedify, because you're not really interested in what that is. What you're interested in is that you're running Speedify over Speedify, and we should make that clearer. So fun stuff. And then we got pair and share to 2 phones here. One is this phone. I signed out by accident. That was foolish. So fun stuff. So that is Speedify. It is our software for combining multiple internet connections. It's also a VPN, virtual private network. So we try this out. I cannot afford $50 a year.
What?
Well, yeah, we have a 2 gigabyte a month plan. You can just go grab the app and try it out. We'll let you use 2 gigabytes a month. Completely for free.
And with pair and share, you basically are a router.
Can you warm up your lunch with the RF coming off that? I don't think you can. It's got a nice set of antennas giving better performance, but it's not. I don't think it's bizarrely high power. Other than the antennas let it get extra range and does the MIMO tricks. Been interesting about how many people are having trouble with their Starlinks, because when it gets cold out, the cats gather on the Starlinks for the heat. That can't be great for the cats, to be honest. So the Miri router uses our router plans, essentially $300 a year. Gets you, a terabyte a month of usage. So that's basically the pricing. It's aimed at professionals. The $450 a year is for a plan that lets you do 3 terabytes a month. I will tell you the truth. That is aimed at about 4 people. Of all of our users on Speedify, there are a lot of you who use 500 gigabytes a month. So many I can't count. But the number of people who actually send more than a terabyte through Speedify, they exist. There aren't that many of them. We're legitimately losing real money off them, but it's okay. Power users. They're made up by the... All right. Huge fan of your product, would love to become a paid customer. However, the price points are a bit high. Yeah, we'll see, Jamie. There are you only going to use it on your iPhone? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yes, again, Alan's at the form of it. That is the 3 terabyte a month plan. That is a vast amount of data that most of you don't need. Feel free to buy it, but the $300 a year, 1 terabyte a month. Most people will never hit that. All right. It's using 2 gigabyte a month with a couple different email addresses. All in now. Good. Price in Indian currency. I think that if you go to speedify.com and click on the store and you're in India, it'll show you Indian pricing. I do not have the currency conversion in my head. So the router, by the way, is at Miri.tech. Thoughts? Boy, I'm just babbling away here. You're very quiet, uncharacteristically so, I would say.
The Miri router is very cool. It's some of our pride and joy. I mean, look at this thing. It's like mil-spec. I mean, you could throw this thing at a wall or another person. You could throw this at another router and beat the other router up. Yeah. We had some thoughts about replacing these with knives in case you're really in the military. Give like AI on each one of them. That's very scary. But OpenWRT, which this is not. This is like a bespoke OS made by some very, very good engineers. But OpenWRT, a very popular open source router. I mean, I've tried installing it on plenty of different OpenWRT machines. It works on all of them, but I don't know. Support.
Well, big improvements in the documentation.
Yes.
You now put up an article about how to actually get OpenWRT to let us bundle the connections.
Yes, that was a tricky one. A setting that I did not think would have any bearing on bonding. The gateway metric. It's got to be different for every WAN, or else OpenWRT just won't set up default routes for those, and Speedify needs them. To be able to bond those. So gotta put those up. It's easy enough to do. We can package a little helper script to help you out with it, but it's something that you really should do.
Yeah. So I think we'll get that automated, but right now there's that extra instruction you do have to follow.
Yeah, it's tricky because we don't know. We can guess, but we don't know which WANs you want to use without Speedify, and we don't want to hurt your experience when Speedify is off. When Speedify is on, these gateway metrics, they don't matter. We measure the performance of the network on the fly. Update it. But when Speedify is off, you don't want to accidentally go over some weird, definitely secondary connection when
well, I mean, that's the metrics is a primitive system, right?
Yeah.
It tries the one with the lowest number, and if that doesn't work, it tries the one next. So you can, if one connection is much more expensive, you can give it a much higher number, right? And your operating system will be less likely to use it. I mean, it'll
it's there.
It doesn't work that. I mean, it works pretty. If the connection gets fully disconnected, you unplug the cable, and the operating system says, "Okay, it's gone. Let's go to the next one." But if the cable's still connected and it's just not working, it usually doesn't roll over. And if it does, it takes a long time. So Certainly no replacement for Speedify, but all right. Geologic has a question here. Do you limit download upload speed if I find myself in multiple 5G ultra wideband and Wi-Fi situations? How fast can it get?
We never limit anything, but
Right.
you can. I mean, there's options for rate limiting, but that's up on you. We never.
On our public servers, the default, sort of premium servers for people who pay, we really try to ensure that anyone can always go to 300 megabits with no problems whatsoever.
Beyond that,
we don't limit anything.
but it depends.
I have, done 800 megabits just on a public server. But some days we're a little busy. But we try and make sure we don't get so busy that you can't all go to 300 megabits whenever you want. All right, yeah. So here's the URL, Miri.tech. So Miri is not on OpenWRT. Aha!
Nope.
Yeah, it is not on OpenWRT. Some talk whether some future software update might change it over.
What it's got works really well. But
yeah, it's got its own web front end, which is simplified to the things they thought you would want.
Yep.
So it's a lot less confusing, I guess, for the superpower user who wants to configure, everything from DSCP to their own routes and stuff. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of OpenWRT. It's slick.
Yeah,
it's got a really nice interface.
I think it's good for its audience, but it's gonna be a little bit unfamiliar if you somehow find yourself in a shell there. And I don't think you can get SSH on there.
I think it's coming back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's a long-running argument of should people be SSHing into the router and changing things.
I think that they should, but
and then you call customer support and you say, "Well, I just ran a few commands as root. You should fix it for me." All right, Hector says, "Speedify saved me during COVID. Woo! No landline service. Was combining 3 4G services to maintain 2 Zoom meetings running concurrently. Really needed it when sharing video."
Good job, Hector ISP.
Hector. Yeah, that's good. In case you missed it, Speedify is also available on OpenWRT.
In case you missed it.
Yeah. Is it still considered a beta? I think it's still kind of considered a beta.
I mean, it's... Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, like, the beta parts are, like, making sure the installation is smooth and, like, rounding out, what do we want to do with... Should we automate gateway metrics or not? This and that.
Yeah.
Design decisions, but... Speedify works on it. It's the same code base. It runs on any other Linux distribution, more or less.
Hey, speaking of Linux devices, running Speedify, that's a GLINet device. Yeah, and a lot of the tricky stuff, right? OpenWRT, it's not that friendly.
No.
And then, so a lot of the vendors consider it a starting point for them to build their operating system, right? So, our initial release, we had some issues with the GLI nets because in their wonderful improved OpenWRT, they moved things around. And so when we put files where they go on OpenWRT, they were in the wrong spot on the GLI net. But I think we dealt with that. All right, with Pair and Share, if you purchase one paid Wi-Fi session, can that Wi-Fi be shared over Pair and Share using that same Wi-Fi? I'm thinking about Royal Caribbean's Wi-Fi. Yes. A cell phone. Right now, Macs and Windows aren't sharing connections on Pair and Share. But yes, the iPhone or Android will share access. We use a baseball game where I joined the guest Wi-Fi, and then all the other phones joined my hotspot, and then they were on the guest Wi-Fi as well as their cellular. It's Phillies game, and it worked. It worked great. Haven't actually tried it on Royal Caribbean. I would think that if there's a captive portal, only one person, like your device, you do it, and then once you're through the captive portal, the sharing should work fine.
Yeah, so I'm curious if parent share works on Royal Caribbean. There are a lot of networks, like public networks, that get suspicious about MDNS traffic going over the place and parent share devices
Yeah,
talking to each other.
it's the interesting thing about Royal Caribbean, as we talked about in one of our other videos, is it isn't just like technically can this work. It's that Royal Caribbean has full-time employees whose jobs are to try to stop you from running your own network, right? You know, there was the guy who used Starlink to stream a live stream from Royal Caribbean sitting next to the pool, and he made this video. Look at this. I'm live on the internet using my Starlink on a Royal Caribbean cruise. And a few minutes later, you know, one of the ship's officers came down and said the rules were just changed. It's now illegal to use like they saw this video, realized someone was using it. They updated the terms of service for Royal Caribbean within minutes and sent a crew member. Yeah, I bet on every Royal Caribbean ship, right? They sent an officer to the pool to find if this was the ship with the Starlink, and they found the guy and took his Starlink and returned it when he got off the ship. So it's adversarial. It's not just like, does our software work right? Yeah, because even if it works and you start posting videos about how great it is that you can parent share on a Royal Caribbean, you will break it for everyone else. Because they will put engineers on it attempting to break it. All right. Are there any network router only devices in the works?
And we got one right here.
Perhaps you're late, or perhaps you're asking a different question. Miri just shipped this bad boy, powered by Speedify. It's nice. It's got a touch screen,
yeah,
hot swappable, same camera, same batteries as the Sony. It's got 4G, it's got 5G, it's got Wi-Fi. It supports multiple Ethernet. By the way, holy cow! Let's talk about this for a second. The live stream where MrBeast and Kai blew up Kai's house. It was over this router.
Yeah. That was a fun day.
That was a fun day.
We were all watching the stream like, oh, this is really good.
It's just so stressful. So stressful. So for those who don't know, the biggest live streamer in the world and the biggest YouTube star in the world did a live stream together where they built ahead of time, they built an exact duplicate of Kai's house.
But they didn't build any wireless infrastructure.
And they filled his new living room with fireworks. And then the plan was during the live stream, they would set off the fireworks and blow up the whole house. But of course, it's going to blow up a whole house. You can't do this in his actual house or any nice neighborhood. So they went to a field in the middle of North Carolina, far from everything, with approval from fire marshals and stuff. They're careful pros now. And then they realized the internet wasn't good enough. So they called us and said, can you help? And we got on the line, one of the guys, Ryan, I'll talk about more in a second, from Miri Tech. And he said, all right, you're 5 hours away. I'll be there in 6 hours. And so he took one of these routers and he drove down there. And they hooked it up to two Starlinks. Then he had the two cellular SIM cards here. He tethered two phones off the front. He paired and shared to the phones of all the other techs who were down there. And then they blew the house up. Interesting thing about the setup, they had a computer running OBS with all the cameras that was in the room with the fireworks. And then they ran a 300-foot Ethernet cable across the way to where this router was outside. So when the house blew up, the PC was destroyed, right? I mean, the cameras filming it, the computer streaming it were all completely destroyed. But, the router was outside the blast radius and just kept on trucking. Their stats, lost 0 packets. 0 packets. So, where is Ryan today? Ryan is at the Ecamm Creator Camp, along with Speedify Ryan and Speedify Scott. So, if you all are watching this, and you probably missed it because it's a great event and it started today. So, Ecamm, the makers of the live streaming software for Macs, is holding their Creator Camp where they get everyone together. They get together all these live streamers who train together on how to make better videos. It's in a small town, Massachusetts, where the internet is not so fabulous. So this time, boom, these bad boys are being put in all the auditoriums, and they should be having fantastic internet the whole show. Because, a little sponsorship. Miri is providing better internet.
You got to be kidding, right?
Making fun of me, geologic. Imagine a Speedify that finds and connects to other Speedify users and bonds all available connections. It's pair and share, man. It's in there.
You know that.
I think you know that, yeah. Lyle Tanner. I keep running into random sites that block access when I'm connecting Speedify. Is there a way to add custom bypasses? On Windows and Linux, there is. It's coming to other operating systems.
Speedify CEO Alex.
You might want to try starting with which cities are the best.
Virginia.
North Virginia. Try a server in North Virginia and see if that's better. Hint for the paid power user. With better reputations there. All right. Nat says, have been trying on my 5G Arcane AW1000 router. I can log in and run on 5G, but not pair and share. Meanwhile, on Raspberry Pi, I can't even log in. But I'm sure it will be sorted out. Send info about what you're seeing to support@speedify.com.
Yeah. Is your Raspberry Pi OpenWrt?
Oh, there's the kind of details. It's useful.
Yeah, email support, please.
Even if the second phone doesn't have cellular, will the Wi-Fi block isolated traffic?
I don't understand.
Yeah, he's definitely talking about the parent share, the Wi-Fi block.
Yeah, so the communication happens over Wi-Fi. So you're sharing cellular, but it varies a little bit. But in almost all
So
cases,
mostly what we've been doing, having one of the phones make a hotspot, the other devices join it.
Yeah, so
right. So
in
now
that
you don't
case-
have to worry about whether Royal Caribbean's Wi-Fi is allowing peer-to-peer, because they're probably not, right? Royal Caribbean, using them as an example, their guest network probably doesn't let the phones talk to each other directly. And, much I'm like, because it blocks parent share, it also blocks hackers from sitting there in their room and trying to see if they can hack the laptop of everyone else sitting by the pool. So, give Royal Caribbean that one. It's a perfectly reasonable restriction, right?
I disagree.
You deserve what you get. All right. Yeah, so here's the link to the video we did about cruise ships. And yes,
It's also funny.
yeah, it's also funny. It's right. Somebody they actually updated the terms of service. Yeah, I bet, they said the guy came up to him and said they just changed the rules. But I bet what was missing from the story is I bet there were 75 cruise lines where there was a guy walking around by the pool to try to see, right? And the other ones, he didn't see any Starlink. He went back in. Nobody has a story, right? There we go. Yeah, we have a video coming out soon about that. Lyle Tanner, you can reach out to support@speedify.com. Yes.
Yes, please do. I'll look that over. Have you already emailed support? I'm curious.
Denver doesn't give me any issues with inconveniences. Not sure what you're getting at there. All right. Yeah, so we have another video coming out on YouTube right after this, or maybe it did just come out. It's one of our Between Two Palms discussions where we talk about routers, Wi-Fi 7, 6 gigahertz, and OpenWRT. Because, as we just discussed, we're on OpenWRT now. It's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of a continuation of one of the previous discussions. And yeah, and there's a video out there already up there about the cruise ship, so do check that out. What else? Yes, with the beta for opening. They'll I think there's going to be more plans with more price points. The thing is that routers really can shove so much traffic.
Yeah,
through us.
It's a different
vast numbers of sockets, causing vastly higher CPU than even the same amount of traffic from another single user device. So, but yes, there will be more pricing options coming. On many servers, YouTube won't let me view not signed in. Wants me to sign in to confirm I'm not a bot.
Oh, and the Denver servers are good as well as Northern Virginia.
I got it. Yeah. Denver, North Virginia. These are locations with good reputations. Please don't be jerks.
Yeah.
Don't log into the North Virginia servers and start sending out spam or anything. All right, let's all behave ourselves. We've got some servers with good reputation.
For now.
Let's try not to ruin them. Don't try to hack the Pentagon from the North Virginia servers.
Come on, guys. Come on.
All right. Is the Singapore server hosted on Contabo? I don't know. Perhaps Brian is watching, and if so, he can answer. We now have so many servers hosted in so many locations. Speaking of live streams, I watched the Starlink, the SpaceX launch on Sunday. Did you watch it?
No.
What kind of geek are you? I watched it live. The largest, most powerful rocket ever launched, 400 feet tall, 11 million pounds, 3 times the thrust of the Saturn V that sent the men to the moon if they went. And it was pretty cool because you're right. So the bottom half of it, they released it 45 miles up, and it came down and they caught it in the air.
Oh my gosh.
Right, so it used rockets to slow down So they had a tower with these giant robotic pincer, and as it came by, it grabbed the rocket out of the air, so it never hit the ground. So they think it'll have much less damage and be much more reusable. It was on fire. It was pretty cool. The fuel valve that they used to fuel it was flaming on the way down. And so after they caught it, they kind of vented the fuel out the top of the rocket to get rid of the pressure, so the fire stopped. Oh no, it's great stuff. And then when the actual Starship came down in Australia, they were live streaming the cameras as it came down, hit the water and went underwater, right? So it's this fantastic. You see the water coming towards you, and then there's the bubbles and stuff, and the rocket is still flaming underwater. And then they blew it up. They had no plan to recover it, which I'm really surprised. But they said they had no plan to recover the Starship at the end. So once they said successful landing, it exploded. And everybody cheered. So fun stuff. It's like an hour and 5 minutes, the flight. The streams are all on YouTube. I would skip to the moment it takes off. and you can stop the moment it explodes, right? The whole live stream's probably 2 hours, but there's an hour and 6 minutes of awesomeness in there, and I highly recommend it. All right, that was fun. And so now they're asking if they can lower the satellites. They want to bring them, 10% closer to the Earth, 50 miles closer.
Are Starlinks above other LEO satellites?
Yeah, there's a bunch of orbit. They're above the International Space Station. They're low Earth orbit, but there's a bunch of low Earth orbits. And the International Space Station is lower than them. They're like 300 miles up. And so this Starship flight went 89 miles up. So it was real space. I think there's an argument to whether space starts at 50 miles up or does start 75 miles up. But they went to 89 miles up. And so everybody agrees that is space. And yeah, it was lots of fun. All right. So latest version of Speedify is 14.94. Just more minor fixes, but especially if you're on like OpenWRT, you want it, right? We've been making a lot of improvements there. Also, anyone who wants a dedicated server who wants really high speeds, any paying user now can add a dedicated server. If you go to myspeedify.com, I should be more careful what I kick while we're live streaming. Just swinging my legs here, impacting electronics. No big deal, folks. Yeah, so if you want a dedicated server, dedicated speed server, you'll get over a gigabit performance. You can get port forwarding stuff. Anyone can get it. Miri Routers app, Miri.tech. And what's next? So what's coming up next? What should people be excited about here?
We got some cool performance stuff coming up. I don't know how much we want to talk about it, but there's the performance program.
Yeah. So more work to do more stuff to improve performance, especially on very poor latency connections. Right? There are tricks that people have been doing to squeeze better performance out of satellites. For so long, the patents have expired, honestly. That we realize we're not doing. So a lot of that's going to go in, and at first it'll only be available on the routers for actually kind of deep Linux routing issues. 2, we're working on improving some of the bypass stuff into a real dispatch style load balancer.
Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Maybe we save it. Maybe we do an episode around that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I know we're working on is better enterprise SSO. Like most of you, but those of you with 50 employees who said, oh my God, I bought Speedify. Now I have to go through this web interface and add all 50 people's email addresses. Why can't they just log in with the Gmail accounts they already have?
Now, if you're anything like me, you still have to leave the command line, and that's blasphemy. But
can you put a dedicated server in Jakarta, Indonesia? I don't know. Do we have servers? I feel like Jakarta, Indonesia.
Yeah, we got some.
Oh, yeah. We already, yeah. That it turned out to be an okay location. Yeah, we do have a bunch of servers there. I am not sure. Brian, if you're here, answer him. Maybe. Send an email to support@speedify.com. Jakarta is available. There we go. We can put a dedicated servers in any of our current locations. All right. Yes, we could get you a dedicated server in Jakarta. Not a problem. All right. So yeah, do poke around our YouTube. Got a bunch of neat videos that just came out. And I think that's it. We're here at 10:40. Questions have started getting thinner. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow. You want to know when we go live. Give us a thumbs up. A little thumbs up there. Looks like 3 of you did already. Well, I say it just popped up. 3 people gave us thumbs up. So you could give us a thumbs up too. It'd be a party. Well, all right. Jakarta is seriously slow, but Dedicated could fix that. Dedicated gets you your own machine with your own block of bandwidth. If the entire Jakarta data center has a terrible internet connection, then, getting one more slice of that pie might not help you. Reach out to support. I would like you to chit-chat with Brian about what you're trying to do and what you're not happy with and what we can do with the dedicated server for you. You're sort of you're a power user, special case. Send you right to the man. Let's figure out what the right answer is for you, Mark. If the problem is that so many people are using the Jakarta servers, then yes, it will help. But if the problem is that Jakarta's connection to the internet is just slow, won't help much. Kind of depends. You know what I mean? It depends, as I always say.
Well,
all right, it's not me that always says it. Holy cow. Let's just look at Speedify for 1 second. It is a solid wall. I have 4 internet connections, and Speedify is sending everything on all of them. Why? Because there's packet loss.
you need a block of 54% on one of the cellular. Latency looks reasonable. Decided to go into redundant mode for a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So what's going on, right, is that Speedify is not spreading my packets across all my internet connections. It's actually sending this live stream, the whole thing, on each internet connection, and then it's only delivering on the other side the packet that gets through. It's decided that this stream is super important, correct, and that to protect us, it needs to make sure these packets get through, and it feels like it doesn't trust any of our internet connections enough, so it's literally sending them on multiple. So cool stuff. All the smarts in Speedify, which is not AI. It's it's us doing math out whiteboards and capturing it into code. It is nothing learning here, except for Will. Will's learning.
What?
I'm sure I'll learn anything. Old dog. No tricks. All right. I think that's it. Again, if you want a dedicated server, myspeedify.com. If you want one of these cool routers, Miri.tech. If you want to see some cool videos, YouTube/Speedify. And we got lots of stuff for you. Till then, see you next week. Thanks, everybody. See you all online.